I'm Michelle Ryder, editor of Print IT Reseller magazine. I'm here today with Deborah Hawkins, Group Director, Workplace Team at Keypoint Intelligence. Deborah, hello, welcome, and thank you very much for coming to see me today.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me.
Deborah, you head up the Workplace Team at Keypoint. What are your key areas of focus?
So most people know me as an industry analyst, which I've been in the industry. I've been an analyst for more than 20 years now, and before that I was actually on the vendor side. But there are many other things that Keypoint does that I also get involved with. For example, BLIQ, the hardware database, is something that almost everybody in our industry, whether from the vendor side or from the reseller side, is using daily. That's part of my remit as well. We're also the industry's largest testing house, so we test hardware, we test software. So there's quite a bit of variety, actually, not just that analyst role.
Of course, when you talk about the testing, that's BLI, what used to be Buyers Lab, which is now joined forces with Keypoint.
Yeah, that's right. We came together about 7 or 8 years ago. There's still some people that want to remain in the Buyers Lab house or in the Infotrends house, but we are very squarely Keypoint Intelligence and a really strong team. And most of our subject matter experts, they're also crossing all of those product areas as well. So we're not just slotted into one silo.
I think one of the big topics at the moment that everybody's talking about and nobody really knows much about is the effect of tariffs on the industry, particularly in terms of supply chain, rising costs, pricing decisions. What's your sort of take on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty out there in the marketplace today. Nobody knows exactly where it's going to go, but just the thought that a single person, if so will, could actually put the price up on any of our products to more than 100% at any single time, that's a very frightening thing. And that has made vendors cautious. It's also made the end customers very cautious. So, you know, it's a very difficult thing to navigate because we don't know exactly where it's going to go. So part of our short-term recommendations is to sit and wait, see what happens, don't rush into things. But obviously, we're seeing that investments are not being made, they're being held back. And that's very, it causes a lot of uncertainty for our industry.
And what could vendors do to mitigate the effects in the longer term?
Well, there are certainly things that they can do. Even as a result of, after the pandemic, the whole supply chain issues, there was lots of discussion around shifting manufacturing to different regions of the world, to bringing it into local regions, if you like. And that's still a thing. As we move also more down the sustainability ladder, we also many vendors are considering localizing production. And so that's one of the big things that you could do long-term as a vendor to protect yourself from any tariffs. Obviously, we're very dependent, our industry, on manufacturing out of Asia and out of China in particular. And vendors have already spread their manufacturing plants into other areas of Asia, but it's almost entirely coming from Asia right now, and that's of course the region that would be hardest hit by tariffs. So, really looking at what can I do locally in future rather than relying entirely on Asia.
Our industry is constantly evolving, constantly changing. We've seen some common threads: declining print volumes, the accelerated shift towards digital transformation, and now of course many vendors are integrating AI into their operations, into their products and solutions. Keypoint's investigated AI, explored the use of AI within the industry. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on the topic.
Yeah, so part of our role as analysts is also to bring some clarity around, is it truly AI? We see some A-washing, very similar to the term of greenwashing. And we do look very diligently at things that are called AI and try to sort through the weeds and see, is it really AI, or is it just an algorithm, or is it just a large learning model, for example? So right now in our industry, we see good examples of AI being used in software processes, particularly around capture and workflow. They really are enhancing the whole extraction process, which makes scanning and data capture much faster, makes it also much more efficient because it can be indexed at much higher speed. But true AI on an MFP has not been seen yet. And that is probably because it's still quite expensive, and it's also very much in the infancy stage. We expect with new product series, so in 3 to 4 years, we might see the first AI processors actually on the MFP. Now, there's always a question, is that of any use? Do we really need that on an MFP? We said a similar thing sort of 10 years ago with, did you really need the full iPad-sized display on an MFP? But we all want things to become smarter and to become more efficient. So we are definitely going to see AI on box into the future. And then the other way that our industry has really been using AI is in form of learn management systems. Part of the backbone of our industry is technical service, and to really bring technical service, which is often in the heads of our engineers, or it's in technical service manuals, to collate that everywhere to a central place into a learn management system, so that anybody on the ground doing technical service can get to information at much faster speed.
So over and above, we've talked about the BLI, the testing, we've talked about Keypoint and the industry analyst piece, but there's some other services that you offer to the channel as well. What are these, and how can channel print vendors access them?
Yeah, so building on, for example, onto our hardware database, BLIQ, we also had a whole production database. We purchased a company called Pro Print Performance a while back, and so if any resellers are looking to get into production print, that is the place to go to in order to compare hardware. There's also lots of really strong learning and training tools on there that can help resellers that are trying to get into production. Also behind VLIQ is the software testing, the software comparison. So if resellers are really looking to understand what are the different types of print management solutions that are out there, or capture solutions, it's really not easy to be able to have all of that knowledge and compare all of that knowledge. So that's a really good, strong product for resellers. And the last one, linked to AI, is also our AI assessment services, which we offer for resellers to really go into their organization and understand where they could optimize themselves in order to be more efficient. Also to talk to their customers about where would customers be able to use AI, so that a reseller can really be in a position to advise their customers on AI and the implementation of AI in the future.
So we've talked about AI, but there are, of course, other emerging technologies that are going to redefine and set the new standard in our industry in the coming months and years. What do you see as having the biggest impact?
Well, you touched on it earlier, predictive maintenance. This is something that our industry has talked about for so many years. If you really look at those service functions and the delivery of service functions, very few are proactive or predictive currently. They are proactive, and that they're set to a schedule and based on historical data, but they're not actually based on what is happening today. That's the big difference between, you remember the old maps that we used to have compared to having Google Maps on our phones today. It's a big, big leap in actually making all of your service information available instantly, and then being actually able to twist the service function so that it could be improved for that particular customer, that exact customer, not the same as his neighbor and not the same as a large corporation next door, but really make it predictive for that particular customer. And I think that's going to be coming very soon now. A lot of vendors have been working on perfecting that, and you do really need a lot of processing power to achieve that. And with advances in processing functionality, we're going to be seeing that very soon.
Yeah, so you've explained, I would have always spoken about predictive maintenance, and certainly conversations with resellers and vendors, they do talk about enabling predictive maintenance. But there's a distinct difference between proactive and predictive. So that will be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, it's coming very soon.
And in terms of Keypoint, what's sort of next on the agenda for you?
Well, hopefully lots of activity through the summer months. That's always a time for us to catch up on some of our forecast work. So we're forecasting out some of the global print volume trends. Also, we have great activity at the moment around some of the production printing areas like direct-to-garment, direct-to-textile, labels and packaging. Those are relatively new areas for Keypoint that our analysts are really ramping up their knowledge there.
Deborah, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing some really good insight. I'm particularly interested in the production print side. It's an area I'm not as close to as certainly I am on the office side. And you're absolutely right. The label printing, the logistics sectors, all of that's auto ID. That's becoming much more insular into our channel now. I think it's becoming a much more integrated offering. But direct to garment, direct to textile, that's a new one. So I shall be interested to look at what's happening there.
Yeah, lots of resellers identify production as a new revenue opportunity. We've seen the vendors moving away from their direct sales channels and wanting to push production into indirect as well. So that is definitely something that resellers should be looking out for.
Yeah, and that is a step change because the production print was always done via the direct arm.
Correct.
And the channel, but as you said, more channel partners looking to expand revenue and build new revenue streams are looking into production print as a new value add offering alongside a whole host of other things, which brings us really nicely back to the fact that the industry is constantly evolving and changing, and I don't think it will ever change. I hope it doesn't, certainly. Yeah. So lovely to talk to you. It's been a real pleasure, and I look forward to catching up very soon.
Thank you so much for having me.